Obviously, one of the biggest elements that we have seen recently is the Madleen, the Freedom Flotilla that attempted to break the siege in Gaza and bring some humanitarian aid in. Of course, the boat was seized by the Israelis. A number of people have been detained and deported, and I think some still being detained. So to get into all of this, we are very happy to be joined here by Wright, who is a U.S. military veteran who has participated in 4 Freedom Flotilla journeys and is now on the steering committee for the Freedom Flotilla Coalition. And as always, thank you so much for being with us.
Well, thank you all, and all of your rhetoric just educates us so much. So thank you all for what you're doing. Thank you.
Well, listen, thank you. And we're, just gliding off your energy. It's amazing what we've seen happen with these Freedom Flotillas. And I mean, I guess maybe the first question I'll ask is, what is the status of the people who are on the Madleen now? I mean, I know some people have been detained, some people have been deported. Obviously, they were seized by the Israelis for, a totally peaceful journey trying to bring aid to people. Are people still being held? What's the situation there?
Well, our little ship, the Madleen, carried 12 people, including crew, and 6 of them were released, or 4 of them were released yesterday. 6 of them are being released today. Actually, not released. I mean, they're being deported, for God's sakes. And the Israelis are saying it's a 100-year deportation. And the 2 times I've been deported, it's only 10 years at a time. So I can almost now go back into Israel if I wanted to, because I've been 20 years in this thing. But now we have 2 other people that'll be deported tomorrow. They're coming out with some interesting stories about how they were treated in the Israeli prison. Two persons were put in solitary confinement. 2 of them were on a hunger strike for a short period of time, just in solidarity with the people of Gaza. And this was after we sailed the Madleen less than a month after our other ship, the Conscience, was bombed in Malta. We had 40 people that were ready to get on that ship. We had been very quiet about the ship, trying to, kind of sneak under the radar. We told people in Malta, don't wear T-shirts, don't do any of this. But we know that the Israeli intelligence services track all of these things. And on the morning of the 1st of May, mere hours before we were going to board those 40 people onto the ship, all of a sudden, what appears to be some drones came close to the ship and then fired explosives and damaged the ship severely. The 12 or let's say 16 people that were a part of the crew and 6 people that were kind of non-crew passengers they'd gotten on at the start-off point. Boy, the tales that they have told about how frightening that was when all of a sudden the bow of the ship just kind of blows up and then a fire erupts, and it took an hour and a half before a fireboat that was actually in the area finally came over and started squirting some water on the fire. We know the Maltese government was complicit with the Israeli government. We know that an Israeli C-130 was in the Malta area, circling around within an hour before this happened. We know that the Israelis have all sorts of sophisticated drones that they use on Palestinians, to include these what they call loitering drones that can just kind of hang out, and once they're given the word in the target area, they just go do their work. And in that case, it was blowing a hole in the bow of Conscience.
I mean, and it's just so insane how Israel has essentially normalized this kind of pirate style hijacking of boats in international waters, because that's what it did in this case with the Freedom Flotilla. Is it hijacked it in international waters, right? Basically kidnapped these people, brought them to, I think, the port of Ashdod. I'm curious if you can walk us through what happened to some of them, because we saw reports of people being forced to sign statements, potentially being forced to watch a movie. I don't know if that happened or not, the Israeli propaganda film about October 7th. And then also in the case of European parliamentarian Rima Hassan and the Brazilian activist who was on board, they were placed in solitary confinement. So can you tell us what happened to people, what they had to deal with?
Sure. Well, it was a pretty standard takedown of our ships. It happened in international waters, and all of them have been in international waters. 2000 2010, 2011, 2013, 14, 15, 16, 18. All are in international waters. The Israeli commandos boarded the Madleen non-violently, which was good, because they in 2010 they killed 10 people and wounded 50. And on other ships they've beaten people up, they've tasered them, they've broken ribs. They've really been violent. This time, I think because there was so much attention on this little ship that they knew that they were going to get bad publicity on whatever was going to happen, so they kind of backed off a bit. But interestingly, they didn't leave the team of 12 on board the little Madleen, which normally happens, that you stay on board that boat and you slowly are taken into Ashdod. This time they put them on a Navy ship. And that's where we heard that they were going to be told that you have to watch this movie of October 7th that's put out by the Israeli government. I mean, none of us condone what happened on October 7th, that's for sure. But the fact that the Israeli government was saying, well, we're going to force you to watch this movie, and the response was, well, and we'd like to force you to watch the movie of the past 80 years of occupation and murders that you've been doing to the Palestinians, both in Gaza and the West Bank. So finally, they were able, the ships got into the port of Ashdod. You're interrogated, you're fingerprinted, you've got photographs taken, and they give you papers in Hebrew. And we all, in the training that we give to every person that's ever been on one of these flotillas, we say, don't sign anything. You don't have to sign anything. You're going to get deported anyway. So no point in signing anything. And the Israelis will say whatever they want to. Like all of them signed that they were coming in illegally, when indeed they don't. But the Israelis lie through their teeth on everything. So once the four people opted actually to come out earlier, and we asked people in the training if they want to, and it's a group decision. We want people to come out early because they can tell the story. They can give the narrative of what happened. Whereas if we wait for everyone to go into prison and then slowly stream out, the Israelis have 3 or 4 days that they just keep talking whatever they want. So it was very good that we had 4 people, including an Al Jazeera reporter that was on the ship. We had Greta Thunberg that was on the ship. We had 2 others that were Sergio from Spain, and let's see. Oh gosh, I'm embarrassed. I can't remember the 4th one. But anyway, the 4 of them got off and started telling the story. And Greta, in particular, as she was transiting the Paris airport, had a long, long interview. And I tell you, that kid, and she is a kid. I mean, she's only 22 years old. And what she's accomplished so far in her life is amazing. And the fact that she was willing to go on this and knowing full well that the haters were going to go after her like crazy, which they've done. But, she represents the younger generation in the finest way possible. And she knows the history of Palestine. She knows it. And when the reporters were trying to, hand off stuff, she just went right back at them. So we're very proud of her, as we are of all 12 of the people that are on board. And there'll be more and more interviews with all of the folks in the coming days. So while they were in prison, I've been in that prison twice, and you never can tell what's going to happen. Like in all prisons, it just depends on what the guards are, what they're feeling like. And I think for Rima, what I heard was that she wrote "Free Palestine" up on a wall. And that was enough to get her put in solitary confinement, which I think she will say proudly the rest of her life that she did that. And the same for Tiago Alves from Brazil. He decided he'd go on a hunger strike, knowing full well that the guards don't like that, and so he got thrown in solitary himself. But all of these are parts of the procedures that we mention to people when we do the training, the nonviolence training that we have for every mission. It's so important that we know that people are going to react nonviolently rather than very aggressively and really cause cause big problems for everybody else on board any of the boats. So we go through very, very carefully people as they arrive and watch very carefully their reactions to violence that's wreaked upon them, because we cannot have them doing violent things back on this ship.
Well, Ann, I mean, it brings us to the backdrop of this whole thing, which is the ongoing, imposition of famine on the people of Gaza. I mean, it's not like the ship was loaded up with RPGs. You know what I mean? These are humanitarian missions that, could easily be let in, that are just trying to bring aid. I mean, that's the nature of the Freedom Flotilla Coalition, going all the way back to 2010, to be able to, just create a lifeline for people there in Gaza. And to me, it just feels so criminal, even more so than anything else, that this is truly a mission of mercy here, and it's being treated as if it's some sort of terrorist act.
Well, indeed, and in fact, the government of Israel has always called us the terrorists, and in fact, as they steal our boats and take them to Haifa Harbor, usually, we've heard that there's a tourist tour of the terrorist boats. How about that? If you want
Wow.
to see how ludicrous this whole thing is, that here you have people that have come in from all over the world that are peaceful people, and all they want to do is to highlight the criminal acts that the state of Israel is doing.
Really amazing. Yeah, go ahead, Rania.
No, I just wanted to say, Anne, I think that these kinds of acts, that obviously this little boat is not going to be able to bring enough aid to Gaza to make, it's as Greta kept saying in her interviews, it's a penny in the bucket. There's no illusions about that, but the fact that it got the attention it did, I mean, I'd love to see hundreds of these flotillas sent to to try to break the siege on Gaza. At this point, I think it was really brilliant to have a European parliamentarian on board, because we know the Israelis, for like days and days, they were freaking out because, I know it was very difficult for them to restrain themselves and not kill anybody. That is a very difficult thing for the Israelis to do. But they had to restrain themselves because of all of the cameras that were on this boat. And then there was the fact that there was a diplomat on it, which their own security people were saying, this causes a real problem for us because we can't really do harm to a European diplomat. I mean, not that I would say there's any red lines for Israel, but maybe they feel there are. So I guess my question for you is, why? Obviously, the boat's not going to succeed to make it to Gaza. There's a pattern, sort of routine of Israel, taking these people, kidnapping them from international waters, sometimes using violence. In this case, they didn't necessarily, and then deporting them. So someone might ask, what's the point if it's not going to break the siege on Gaza?
Oh, well, we have that question all the time. You're doing a very expensive thing, and you ought to give all the money to the people in Palestine, not people in Gaza. And so we ask the people in Gaza, we ask lots of NGOs there, would you rather have us donate money to, the fine work you're doing there? Or is it important that this thing called a little vessel tries to make it to the shores of Gaza? And every time they come back and say, it is so important, it's a symbol of worldwide support for us and solidarity. And some of the things that we see that, little kids go down to the beach in Gaza, and they make boats out of sand. They do all sorts of stuff. And it's really, it's a visible sign of solidarity, even though they haven't seen the ships in person since 2008, when we actually had 5 ships that actually got in. But since 2008, none of the ships have gone in, 35 of them that we've sailed. And we'll continue to sail them more. In fact, we've got another one that's just about ready to go. So we intend to push this as hard as we can. And if there are any sailors in the Mediterranean that have boats and want to join us, we are thrilled to have more boats as a part of the Gaza Freedom Flotilla.
Right on. Well, if you're out there, people with boats
to
in
all
the
the boat
Mediterranean, if you're a
owners watching
Breakthrough News
Breakthrough
fan,
News.
I demand that you bring your boat and participate.
Yeah.
Honestly, a fantastic initiative, and I think a critically important story and critically important work. Ann Wright, steering committee member of the Freedom Flotilla Coalition. As always, thanks so much for joining us here on the Freedom Side.
Thank you. Free Palestine. Stop the genocide.